Hello everyone! Here comes a video that I've been putting off for a while now. I would say probably a couple months. I had definitely planned on doing a 1-year update on my dermatillomania since going on the TV show The Doctors, and also since, you know, just making my dermatillomania video in general here on YouTube. And then there's probably gonna be a little bit of cursing in this video, so maybe, you know, if there are kids around, maybe, you know, they probably wouldn't want to watch this video in general, but just so you know, shit hit the fan. Let me just put it that way. I was going through some stuff. There was a death in my family, there was a breakup that happened between me and the guy I was seeing at the time, and yeah, I wasn't doing great, and now that it's the holidays and just I'm stressed out, I've been going through just some stuff with work here and just in general. It's been a rough time of year, but I've been trying really hard to not let it get to me too badly. It has been, but I've been trying to be better. But I keep putting this off because I'm like, oh my god, my skin looks awful right now. I have been messing up and not doing well with my dermatillomania. Like, I've definitely been falling back on that as a crutch, as a stress reliever. You know, old habits, they sure do die hard. And you come to find that out when you're trying to break a habit that has been with you for nearly all your life, at least 2 decades. But yeah, I think I'm finally okay with saying, you know, like, it's okay. I'm not doing great, and that's okay. It is. And I think it's an important message to share with all of you all. So this sweatshirt is not very conducive to this video in the sense that the sleeves don't really pull up too well, but I think you can see I've got some spots, and there are certainly worse spots than this on my body that I'm not going to share because I know my limits, and I know that right now I cannot handle seeing a comment that says, "Ew, you're gross, yuck." I just can't, you know. You can call me weak, you can call me whatever you want for that, but I have come to know my limits. I have come to know what sets me off, what triggers me, what does all of that, and I think that's strong of me. Like, I think that's a strong quality for a person to have in any part of their life. Know your weaknesses, know your weak points, and, you know, like, live your life around that. Like, don't necessarily completely close yourself off to that, because obviously, you know, you need to have these negative points in your life to not only appreciate the good times, but also just, you know, it's gonna happen. You can't completely pad your room, you know, just to get through. I don't think I'm articulating very well, but you know what I mean? I just know that right now I can't handle that, and that's okay. I think that's a lot of my viewpoint as of right now. It's okay. So I also figured, you know, this video would be a good kind of reminder to myself, because I got free therapy for a few months from the doctors, and then I continued on with that therapy for more months, probably like I think 6 or 7 I still kept on with therapy, and then I stopped because financially, and there were just some other reasons, and I thought that was okay. And like, I still think that that's okay, you know. Like, I think therapy is an amazing tool, especially if you do have something like OCD or some kind of disorder like that, or really any mental disorder. I mean, whether you're struggling through depression, whatever the case is, like, talking to somebody, I know for me, it was really hard getting to that point and being like, wow, I have to pay to talk to somebody to figure out my problems. Like, this is sad. But it's not. Like, there's such a stigma around not only mental illness, but then getting help for a mental illness. It's so stupid. Like, truly, it's ridiculous that we should shame each other and ourselves and make people feel horrible for wanting to get help. Like, it's not helping anybody to do that. It really is. It's just making the problem worse. And I don't know, there's something about going to therapy where, you know, I have talked through a lot of those things with family and friends, but there's something about seeing a therapist, you know, like a neutral third party, that really, it does make a difference. You know, I just feel like, for me anyways, I was able to really really let my walls down and not like put up any fronts or anything, you know, because I think that's part of something, you know, like when you're talking about a struggle that you're going through with friends or family, you know, there are certainly times, and for me it's the majority of times, where I want to seem strong or I want to seem like I'm, you know, really on top of things and whatever, when in reality I'm just like crumbling on the inside. But with a therapist, I think it helped me to open up. By the way, if you have not figured out already, this video is going to be all over the place. I have no plan or script or anything, except, like I said, I wanted to kind of give you guys an update and also remind myself that, you know, it's going to be okay, and also share some tips that I have learned, not only so that some of you, if you are struggling with dermatillomania or trichotillomania or other OCD disorders, this can be very helpful for you, especially these tips that I have learned through therapy. And I think for me, I kind of, you know, you get to this point, I think, in therapy and with certain things in life where it's like you're learning something new, or you've taken on this new role or whatever, and then you get really comfortable in that, and so you think, okay, I don't need these tips, or I don't need these little tricks and helpers and stuff to get me through this stuff anymore. And yeah, like I would say for a good couple months after I stopped going to therapy, like I was able to just like keep using these tools, just, you know, in little ways, and then you just start to kind of not use them, because like I said, old habits die real hard, especially when you've been dealing with them for decades. Also, I apologize for the construction that apparently really wanted to start going on. That's wonderful. Stop avoiding the task at hand. We have got dermatillomania tips, you guys. I wrote these down because I kind of had a feeling this day was gonna come and that I would forget this stuff. And reading through these couple of pages that I put together, I'm like, how wise of me. So first off, I wrote down, and I feel like everyone on YouTube has to say this, when in reality I feel like you guys should just know this. I'm not a replacement for a therapist or for going to therapy. Like, this video is not going to take place of that for you. It might be helpful, but I am nowhere near a licensed therapist. I did not go to school for it. I don't know, like, that is not my job. So please take everything that I'm saying with just, I'm a friend here. We're just friends talking to each other. I am not giving you medical advice, like none of the above. And also, one of the biggest hurdles that I had to get over when I was first starting therapy and like trying to integrate these little tips and tricks into my life to curb my dermatillomania is that you don't have to be ashamed to go to therapy or to use these tips and tricks. Like I said, there is such a huge blanket of shame that just coats you. I feel like most people with any kind of a mental disorder really feel that way. I know I felt that way when I was first dealing with my depression and anxiety and panic disorder, and then, you know, it also leaks into this as well. Like, I feel like a lot of people that have mental disorders, we don't get just one. It's like one is just a precursor to all the other crap that you're gonna have to deal with in your life. Like, it's comical in the saddest way. I've just learned that I have to laugh at it because honestly, there's nothing else I can do aside from actually trying to improve myself. And for whatever reason, you know, feeling ashamed, I think, was one of my biggest hurdles that I had to get over. And I can't stress that enough. There is nothing to be ashamed of asking for help or for using help in your life. Helping yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm gonna keep repeating that probably in this video and just in general, because it is something that, you know, when these things are ingrained in our brains that we should be ashamed of this, it's really hard to break out of. But I'm telling you, you don't have to be ashamed. There's nothing to be ashamed about. Be it your disorder in general, and then also getting the help you need and the help you deserve. I think that's the biggest thing that everything was the biggest thing for me, but like that was another really big thing for me, was feeling, and I hope I'm gonna I think I don't know why. I don't want to cry. Oh, it's too late. For whatever reason, feeling worthy is a really big problem for me as well. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, in that it's, I think whether you have depression or not, the feeling of not being worthy of help or even self-care It's really big and is clearly something that I still struggle with a lot. I don't know. I mean, I think I kind of know where it stems from, just like childhood stuff and having abandonment issues and whatever else, but yeah, I just remember one day my therapist, she said something about, you are worthy of help, or like, you are worthy of this, like, and I just started sobbing. And she was like, do you really, you don't think you're worthy? Like, do you really, like, you're really struggling with that? And I'm like, apparently, I guess so. But, oh god. Testing out a foundation today. I really, and I didn't wear waterproof mascara. This is great. This is really great. Okay, we're gonna try and move past that point. I'm gonna reiterate, not only to you, but also to myself, you are worthy. You're worthy, and you deserve to get better. And that is something that I went over, you know, in therapy, was that coming up with mantras can be very helpful. And one of the ones that I came up with, or not necessarily came up with, but one that I wanted to, what is the word? Not imply, it starts with an I. To put in place in my life, I guess. Either way, is that I am worthy of a chance. I am, you know, like, success is so, I always think of my art professor, my drawing professor, my main advisor in undergrad gave me a chart once when she was seeing me struggling with some stuff related to my art journey, and it's just like a graph that says, this is what people think success looks like, and it's a straight line upwards, and then next to it, it's like, this is what success really looks like, and it's just this huge jumbled lines of up and downs and all arounds. And it's so true, and that is such a huge and good reminder that I know I always have to remind myself, is that one slip up, or like even a collection of little slip ups, does not equal complete failure. Like, that was also something that I really struggle with in my life, just in general, is that I see things for myself. It's funny to me because when it comes to anyone else, I see their lives and things outside of me as so gray, like the spectrum is so gray. But then when it comes to me, I see everything as so black and white. I get so frustrated with myself that I put that onto myself, that for me, either failed or you succeeded. There's no in between, there's no nothing. It's just one or the other. So to me, it's like, if I picked even just like one thing during the day, one thing, and I mean, that's compared to me where I would go hours in a day picking. But if I had one day where I just picked at one thing, that meant, in my mind, I completely messed up. This whole journey of mine that I've been on doesn't even matter. Like, done. I've completely failed. When the big picture, oh my god, like, that's huge, that improvement. To go from 1 minute to hours? Like, I suppose it would be the other way around, but like, Cassie, that's so good! Like, that's so good! Even like, I know there have been a couple days where I went without, sure, I picked on my body, but like, didn't pick once at my face. That's huge! That's huge! And like, you know, I can say with certainty, like, I'm so proud of myself. That's awesome. But then I still struggle with like, but I wasn't able to keep that up, so that must mean I'm a failure. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. The silliest thing is that I thought I could get through this video without crying. Oh, Cassie. Oh, Cassie. Okay. Whew. So yeah, really trying to focus just in general on the positives, and this is like a huge thing as well, you know, just being able to, I mean, this was like a huge part of my therapy, you know, that we talked about, was learning about the inner critic that I think every one of us has in ourselves. Some people's are just much louder than others, especially people who do have depression, but really hearing yourself and listening to how you talk to yourself, it becomes so second nature and natural to hear the negative things that are like going through your head all the time. That being able to like really hear it and then tell yourself that that's not truth. You know, these things that you're telling yourself, it's not real. It's not reality. And that took me a really, really long time to be able to do. You know, like, if I look at myself and I'm like, God, I'm gross. To be able to say that that's not... That thing in my head saying that doesn't... Just because that's being said in my head, like, doesn't make that a reality. And then taking it a step further and, like, actually being able to fight back and, like, talk back, and then just being able to tell it to kindly fuck off. Should I even bother having my glasses on? So that's been huge. And yeah, just going back to like thinking about the positives and stuff, think about how you even are taking the step to make a change. You know? That's doing better than yesterday when you weren't trying at all. So like, even that's huge, you know? And continuing to try, that's a huge step if you really look back and see, you know, like, well, for the past 20 years I haven't tried, so at least I'm heading in the right direction this time around. And then like the biggest actual, you know, mantra, I guess, or like a well-known mantra is the whole "it is what it is." That one, you know, it's just finding the words or whatever that really stick with you, and for whatever reason, "it is what it is" really was able to stick with me and help me. You know, like if you do find that, okay, yeah, you messed up today, you picked for however much amount of time, like especially compared to yesterday or the weeks before, whatever, you know, it is what it is. You can't change it. You can't change the past. It already happened, you know? So leave it and move forward. It is what it is, you know? You can't change the past, what has happened. You really only can change your perspective of it. And also to make steps and take changes to change your future. I don't know, for me, that it has been very helpful, you know, when I do find myself beating myself up, you know, other than telling my critic to fuck off. It has also been helpful to just sit there and, you know, close my eyes and just tell myself, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. And it just is. And that's okay. Any kind of a wellness journey, be it mental health, be it physical health, whatever it is, these journeys are not black and white. They are not success in a straight line. That literally does not exist. You need to be able to learn to congratulate yourself for trying. You're gonna have good weeks. You're gonna have bad weeks. You're gonna have good months. And you're gonna have bad months. And allowing yourself to know that, and to know that it's gonna be okay, it's really empowering. It's really empowering to know that, and it does. It sounds kind of twisted, but like to know that failure is a part of your journey to success or to being successful. I think that's another thing, is that success is not an actual tangible endpoint. Even now, just saying that, it's like, that's so frustrating to me because I'm a very goal-oriented person, so I like having a thing where it's like, okay, my goal is to do XYZ so that I can achieve A. And A is a tangible thing, like be it I'm going to save X amount of money to buy a car. Haven't done that in years, but you know, that sort of a thing. Or I'm going to work out X amount of times a week so that I can lose X amount of pounds. Everything in my life I like to set as tangible goals. So to say this goal is not a tangible thing, it's never gonna be perfect, I'm never not gonna pick my skin, that sucks, but that doesn't make the journey not worth doing. Does that make sense? Like, you're gonna have so many failures, but because of those failures, that also means that you're gonna have so many successes, and they're gonna be so wonderful, and you're gonna be so proud of yourself. Like, it's awesome. I can tell you that without a doubt in my mind, because I have experienced huge successes, and they feel great. They feel really, really good. So, I can do this. I can make this video. It's gonna be okay. Whew. Alright, to reiterate all of this. Just because you messed up, it does not mean you have to start over. It means you need to keep going. truly. And I have some tips that I have learned, some tricks that can certainly help you. A is, and I kind of touched on this earlier, awareness. Oh my god, awareness. It is so hard. It is so hard when these habits become so habitual and ingrained in you. And that was one of like my first tasks when I started therapy. And oh my gosh, you guys, like not only is therapy emotionally draining, but also like it's not like you just go in once a week or once every couple weeks for an hour and then that's all. You're working on this outside of therapy too. Like you've got homework, and unfortunately when it comes to these kind of disorders, you've got homework all day long. And oh my gosh, you guys, those first few weeks of therapy, I was so tired and just so but it gets easier and it is so worth it. It's amazing awareness. Not only to hear that inner critic, that inner voice that we all have, but also you do have, whether you realize it or not, trigger points. What the reason is behind them, I don't really know, because some of mine certainly seem very silly, but I didn't realize until I was trying to be aware, because this was my first task, which I don't think I really mentioned, was to write down every single time I picked. Oh my god, that was frustrating and eye-opening. I had to write down the time of day, where I was, and what I was thinking. And then, you know, how long did that picking session last? Oh, that was so much work. It was so much work, but it ended up being so worth it because I was able to find out my routines. I was able to find out when and where I picked the most, you know, what kind of emotions spiked my picking. You know, for me it was mostly either boredom or stress. And also, I'll just tell you guys straight up, you know, like there's nothing to be ashamed of or embarrassed about. Like my biggest trigger points were A, when I was in the kitchen. Why? I don't know, but like just filling up my Brita water filter thing, I think it's a lot of mine I think stemmed from outside of boredom and stress, stemmed from not having something to keep my hands busy. You know, like I've got my one hand that I have to keep under the faucet holding the Brita pitcher, and then I've got my other hand. So what am I gonna do? I just would stand there and I would stare and look at all of the, you know, imperfections that I saw on my arm, and then I would keep a mental checklist, and then once I was done with the Brita pitcher thing, I would then go and attack my arm. Another time it was just going to the bathroom, you know, like walking into the bathroom, sitting down on the toilet, waiting, you know, the 10 seconds or however long it takes to pee. I would sit there and I would pick, and like that was huge. Like that was one of my bigger ones, or like one of my biggest spots where I would pick, and then, you know, walking in and out, you've got the big bathroom mirror, and so then you would take a stop there. Whew. So just being aware of that was huge for me because that gave me a platform to start fighting back. You know, I was able to know what I needed to be aware of. You know, I needed to be aware when I walked into the bathroom that I was probably going to start picking. And then from that, you know, I'm able to, like I said, fight back. Some of the tips that I got were to use Post-it notes. I thankfully, you know, like it's a bit easier me living on my own because I don't have to worry about, you know, feeling embarrassed about doing these things because it's just me that sees these things. So, you know, I do take that into account that if you live with other people, you might not want to do this, but I think those people you live with will understand and are not going to mind. But just putting a Post-it note, I just have the little mini ones, and just putting that on the light switch in the bathroom so that I can be like, oh, okay, I need to remember something here. Oh yeah, I need to remember that this is a picking spot. Cassie, no, don't do it. Don't do it. And through having that Post-it note on the light switch, that was one method. And so I was able to then, you know, as I was going in the bathroom, I would have my other techniques that I would use. I could start prepping myself to do those, but also it led to coming up with other ways to get around it. You know, like I put a nightlight in my bathroom so that I don't have to turn on the light to go to the bathroom, and then it's, you know, things are less visible. It's pitch black in there pretty much except for that nightlight. You know, I've got enough light to do my business, but that's all I need. And also it ended up forming a habit where every time I go into a bathroom now, I look down. Like, I don't even realize I'm doing it now, but I'm so happy. I had to be very conscious of it at first, but like now I just, when I walk into a bathroom, I automatically look at the floor so that I don't look in the mirror. so like mind blown. It's so easy, but like until you become aware of these things, you know, you can't come up with these strategies. Anyways, so that's that one. Another big one for me is doing something called square breathing, where you don't have to close your eyes, but I close my eyes because whatever, it feels nice. And then, you know, you take in a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and while you're doing that, you tap your fingers. So like for a breath in, you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on breathing out, you would go 1, 2, 3, 4. Or if you need to make it a bit more challenging or more complicated, you can do something like breathing in on this finger and then this finger, and then out and out, or, you know, just whatever it is that keeps your mind a bit more occupied than just straight back and forth. Helps huge. Helps huge, and it's something you can do in public and not really be seen doing it, because that's another thing. Fidget toys are huge for me. I have so many fidget toys. I keep them in my purse. I keep them by my workstation where I get work done. I keep them by my bedside, on my nightstand, like anywhere I know I have a trigger point. I've got fidgety things so that I can just grab the fidget thing and, like I said, keep my hands busy, because I know that's a huge thing for me, is keeping my hands busy. But like a lot of times, because like I like doing my cross stitch and stuff to also curb my hands, but that's not always something. Sometimes I'm tired. I don't want to cross stitch, but something simple like using a squishy and just squishing the squishy, or, you know, other little fidgety things. They're so nice. They're so nice. But yeah, sometimes you're out in public. It's like, you know, if you're on public transport or whatever it is, you're with friends, you don't want to have to whip out your fidgety toy and then bring attention to the fact that you're having a moment. Like, you can just sit there, and like I said, you don't have to close your eyes. You can just, you know, you don't have to make your breathing so audible. Another one is something, I don't know the official name of it or anything, but the ABCs. It's basically wherever you are at the moment, and maybe, like I said, you can't pull out a fidget or whatever the case is, go through and just like look at your surroundings and find something that starts with an A. Maybe I'm in the kitchen. Maybe I see some apples. All right, apple. B. What's something with a B? Brita. I'm filling up my Brita. A C. Oh, there's one of my cats. All right. D. There's the door somewhere in here. Ah, there's a door, you know, like, and just go through your ABCs. My biggest thing with that one is that it can get a bit repetitive if you're always in the same trigger spot, you know what I mean? But, you know, it does work the first couple times around, and then also when you're in like new locations, it's obviously more helpful because you don't know your surroundings, and it just ends up taking your mind off of it and letting your mind wander, and then a lot of times you forget that you even wanted to pick in the first place. Another thing, if you can stand it, is putting like band-aids around your fingernails so that you can't pick. Some people, you know, wear gloves, really like thin winter gloves or something. I personally don't like doing that, or either of those, because I'm always on my computer typing, and then also I get really hot really easily, so those don't work so well for me. But what I've found to be really helpful is to just like douse my hands in not only oil, but like, not like, I don't know why that sounds like I'm gonna light my hands on fire, but you know, like cuticle oil or something, and then slathering them in lotion. So like, not only are your hands gonna be like nice and silky soft after that, so like it really does help overall, but then also your fingers and your fingernails are too slippery to be able to pick at anything. Oh, and also just like cutting your nails really freaking short, that's been a big help for me too. So yeah, have I jibber-jabbered at the jibber-jab? I think that's my sign that I have certainly indeed talked at you all enough. I think I have cried enough for today. Was not planning on that, but you know, it is what it is. See? See? That mantra. It all comes full circle. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I think it was helpful for me, and just, like I said, reminding myself that things are gonna be okay. I may be going through a rough patch right now, but I can get myself out of it. I've done it before. I can do it again. To any of you out there struggling with any kind of mental disorder or just rough patch in your life in general, I extend my heart to you. I hope, like I said, this video was able to help. Maybe you learned a new tip or trick or something, or if anything, you were just able to remind yourself that you are worth helping. You are worth helping yourself. You are worth getting help from others. You are worth living. Like, I don't know, you guys. I really love you guys. I don't say it enough, but I'm very appreciative that any of you take the time to include me in your lives, and I'm glad that you enjoy seeing seeing this side of me, because to me, I'm like, oh my god, why would anyone want to see me like cry over this kind of stupid, like, But again, that's the negative talk in me. You guys tell me all the time that you care about me, and I need to accept that, and I need to remind myself of that more often. So thank you guys for caring. Thank you for accepting me for me. I appreciate it. I appreciate you listening. And like I say at the end of all my videos, I 100,000,000% mean it when I say that I hope you guys are all doing well. And until the next time that I see you, I really hope you stay well until then. I love you guys. I'll see you all very soon.